the fabric of the universe.
Hold on, what just happened?
Let's rewind.
Now that we're back to where we started, let's press play and see what happened.
The Big Bang is exactly what it sounds like, a large explosion that supposedly started the beginning of the universe. During this explosion, it was hot, hot, hot. But after a while, it started to cool down, and things started to form. Milliseconds after the Big Bang, little pieces of matter called quarks started to form. Quarks are pieces of matter in a time, in a place.
When multiple quarks come together, they form subatomic particles, these being the proton and the neutron. When the protons and the neutrons come together with the electrons floating around, they form an atom. The first type of atom that's created was the element hydrogen. This has one proton and one electron. Then, as this atom gained more protons, more neutrons, and more electrons, it formed the helium atom. When atoms and elements undergo nuclear fusion and nuclear fission, they form stars. But that's a story for another time.
Red stars are the coolest of the stars, and blue stars are the hottest of the stars.
And a lot of these stars can be found in galaxies.
But what is the Big Bang?
The Big Bang was an explosion that created the universe.
So how do we know about the Big Bang? Because nobody could have lived that long ago, that far back in time, billions upon billions of years ago. Decades ago lived a man named Edwin Hubble.
Edwin Hubble was one of the main scientists that created the theory of the Big Bang. He had a lot of evidence to support this. After all, an extraordinary claim requires extraordinary evidence.
The Hubble telescope was even named after Edwin Hubble. The Hubble telescope was floating around in space, able to see many things throughout our entire universe.
At first, Hubble was confused about why the universe is expanding and what it started from. But then, Hubble got an idea. This is Hubble with his thought bubble. And inside that thought bubble, Hubble came up with the idea that the creation of the universe happened from a big explosion, which is now called the Big Bang.
He figured out that the universe is always expanding.
Hubble was able to figure out that if you reversed the way that the galaxies were always moving away from each other, they met up in one exact point. This point that they met up at, he called the center of the universe. This is where the Big Bang happened.
After the Big Bang, light was sent scattering in every direction.
This light that was sent outwards in every direction was not able to be seen. You weren't able to see this light because on the electromagnetic spectrum, it was on the microwave section.
Even though this light wasn't visible to the naked eye, it is visible in telescopes. Some telescopes, such as the Hubble telescope, was able to see these electromagnetic waves.
This is why it's called the CMB, or the Cosmic Microwave Background Radiation.
Let's go back to the beginning. After the explosion, it was very dense and scorching hot. Things were so hot that electrons and other particles were just floating around in the heat. But when atoms were created, they decided to ignore all of the light bouncing around them.
As the universe expanded, there was less energy to be had in one single place.
After atoms formed, there was also fewer electrons for light to bounce around with. This is how the universe became transparent. But after all this light was sent out, some moved towards Earth. That light, casted in every direction from the Big Bang, took billions of years to reach Earth. Once this light finally reached the Earth, it was very stretched. It slowed down, making its color and frequency change. It changed from the white hot waves of the sun to the cool waves of a microwave. This light can also tell us the temperature of empty space. But Edwin Hubble wasn't the only cosmologist to help us discover more about the Big Bang. There were other very famous scientists, such as Stephen Hawking and the incredible Mr. Bertram. Many scientists decided to create models of the Big Bang, all to help us learn more about our universe each and every day. These are a few examples. They can be for demonstrations or to gather further evidence. Another popular theory is what if it wasn't the Big Bang, but is actually the Big Bounce?
This theory also raises the question, too, as if the Big Bang wasn't actually the Big Bang, but the Big Bounce. The Big Bounce can be modeled with this rubber chicken. Like the universe, this rubber chicken can expand. But eventually, when it has finished expanding, it has to collapse. And when it collapsed, if you watch it back in slow-mo, like the universe will expand, collapse, and then return to its original form just to expand again and collapse. And that's the Big Bounce theory. The Big Bang is a theory. The Big Bang was first introduced by Edwin Hubble. The beginning of the Big Bang was very hot. Hydrogen and helium were the first elements created after the Big Bang. The first things in the universe were quarks.
Quarks turned into atoms, which turned into stars, which then later turned into galaxies. All of these galaxies are always moving away from each other because the universe is always expanding. CMB radiation was sent all throughout the universe because of the Big Bang. Edwin Hubble was one of the first people to create the Big Bang theory. This light was sent in a constant. Whoa! What? Nicki Minaj? The Big Bang was dividend. The first type of atom has one electron and one proton.
Reds?
Do you have your yearbook?
Yeah.
We should sign ours right now so we don't have to do it later.
I'm recording, Shelby.
Oh my god, okay.
Creating the fabric of the universe.
By L. and Shelby.